Hey, so this is going to be a video guide to help navigate you through the Herefish feature of AutoMatch or Match in Message, which basically allows you to match the top candidates to a specific job for you to create actioned items with them inside of Herefish. So we're in a job-based automation, and to access this feature, you add a new step and click on Match Candidates. This step is only available inside of a job-based automation. So once we click on that, you'll see a setting that comes up that says match candidate settings. This is the number that you can decide of how many candidates should match. The top is 50. We can only do 50 at a time per unique job. And this next section is the candidates that should have a certain percentage score. How closely should the candidate record and the skills and the data points that we look at match the data points that's listed on the job record? Should it be over 90% accuracy, or should it be a little bit lower at 75%? You can decide. If you click this little info icon, you can also see how we determine the fits: excellent, good, decent, or poor. All right. And for this criteria here, only match candidates within a specific mile or kilometer radius of the job. This data point will keep into effect if the candidate has a zip or postal code on their candidate record, as well as a zip or postal code on the job record as well. All right, this next section is definitely required, and this is really a safety net and a safety gap to provide you, the customer, a way to make sure that match candidates step would only look at a specific set of candidates in order to focus on for this automation. So for those of you that are that have enabled semantic matching, that will be similar, where semantic matching, you decide a specific job-based list that you could only have semantic matching look towards. Semantic matching will work the same way here in this automation, where you can decide a group of candidates that we would only look towards. And we created one on another screen, so I'll get to that later. But we created one that says active candidates. So this list can include things like only candidates that are not currently placed, that don't currently have submissions, or aren't in a current recruitment workflow. That would be matched to another job, because you don't necessarily want that. Keep in mind, you probably want to add things like maybe a candidate that was recently rejected to a specific job. The possibilities are endless there, but you want to make sure just to have some match candidates matched to this specific list, this specific candidate list here. Okay. So next down here, and this only applies for the jobs, that the job records that are going to be re-entering into this automation. So if it's your desire to have 50, but you want to match maybe the top 100 candidates only, you can actually say once 50 goes through, if the job re-enters the automation again, have the next 50 candidates go through, right? But that's really, really high, really unique. You want to keep it focused about 10 to 20, because it gives you the best option. So you can do the match 10 candidates. So a job record goes through the automation once, it'll match the first 10 candidates. And then once it goes to the automation again, it'll match the second candidates. But those re-entry settings have to be configured on the main automation settings page, not within this one. This determines what the automation should do should a job record re-enter, or what the match setting should do should the job re-enter. This first option is also if only match additional candidates if there are fewer than 10. So on the first go around, when the job enters into the automation, you may just have only 10 records that enter the automation. You may just have six matches. So you may want to have the job go through again to enter it to have the top 10. Again, because if it's at 75 on April 2nd, at 75%, you may only have 6 candidates in your database that match with at least a 75% accuracy. But on April 10th, a couple of days later, about 8 days later, you may have more candidates that match. So this option, which is the default option, will allow you to have the best for that specific job record, 10 there. All right. Notice if this number changes down here below too. Also, alternatively, you can also add the matched candidates to a list inside of Herefish. This is helpful if you wanted to create further automated actions on these specific set of candidates. This will be specific to all of the candidates that match the job. And how the matches will be tracked inside of Herefish. This is optional. You don't have to create a list. You can if you'd like to, but you don't necessarily have to. Also, down here, you have an option to create a submission in Bullhorn. So if you were to create a submission in Bullhorn, you can determine what submission status in Bullhorn they should be created with. So we definitely would recommend having a unique new Herefish status automation or Herefish auto match submission status that you can add to your system settings if you'd like, just to make sure that you can segment and you can have it here. We've added it here to our demo account, so that's why you see auto match right here. So we've automatically add auto match as a submission status. And if you want that to appear, if it's not appearing in Herefish for whatever reason, just give us a chat here and then let us know. We'll go ahead and add that. But of course, you want to make sure it's added in your Bullhorn first. With this option selected, we'd automatically create a submission in Bullhorn. So once a candidate matches to a job record, we would automatically create a submission record on that specific job record with this status. Okay, this is great and helpful to highlight and just segment that specific user. By default, if this is unselected, this submission would automatically exist inside of Herefish only. So it would not exist on Herefish. It would not exist in Bullhorn. It would only exist in Herefish only. So just to let you know that you can still find it and it can still be searchable inside of Herefish if need be, just in case you don't want to add this back to your ATS. So finally, after all is said and done with all of the different settings, we can go ahead and test it. So we can test our auto match settings by entering a specific job title. So for this one, we're going to enter a job title. Enter a job title here. We're going to say software engineer test. And for the 75% matching, we have 3 candidates in our database that currently match with that. So in this section here, we'll show you the top 10. So even if you have 25 selected and you have 10 candidates that match as a test, these are candidates that will show up inside of the automation. And again, this is based on these settings here. All right, so you can play around with it, look at multiple jobs, look at different jobs here if you need to, if you'd like in your system, just to see what type of jobs you have based on the settings that you have. Obviously for this job, it's a little bit different. So going back over here, so we're gonna save these settings. Going back over here, as you notice, once you save the match candidates settings, we automatically add a notification step. Please leave this notification step. This is how Herefish will notify your internal team of a candidate matching a specific job record. So please, please, please leave this there. Leave this there so you don't go mess that up at all. All right, so from here, just to take a step back here, the jobs that enter into the automation are going to be on the main automation enrollment criteria for this job-based automation. So you still have to identify which jobs you want to match candidates to, and this is where you do it. So the job, we have it here, just generic, where the job was added less than 1 day ago, where the job status is accepting candidates. Of course, that could be different for your instance, but we also added employment type as contract or contract to hire. You may choose to say, hey, I would love it if the pay rate, if you're keeping track of pay rate on the job record, you can say, I only want to match candidates to a job that has a pay rate of over $50 an hour or a salary requirement or a minimum salary of $80,000, for example. So you can have that section there, but this is similar to any Herefish condition list. So you can keep on adding that if you'd like to. All right. And just to take a look into the notification, this is the notification. So we have some generic templated emails, default options here. With this, as you notice, there will not be an option to send a daily or weekly message. It can only be immediate because we send one notification per unique job, because we send one notification for the match candidates, the most recent auto matches. So please do not remove this merge tag. This is needed to provide you with a list of your candidates and your match candidates as they come through to you. In the settings area, you can choose whether you want it to go to the job owner, the sales contact owner, or a specific email address. if you choose to. Right now, these are the options that are associated with the job record. So if you have an internal distribution list for your recruitment team, you may want to say recruiters at yourcompanyname.com. All right, you can create a distribution list, and that way your recruiters can get notified of a specific job. You can have it from those people as well, or from a generic email. All right, so now we're just going to save this. And that concludes how you would set up the matching. And we're going to cover how you could actually send a message and how we can interact with these candidates that are matched here, and how we can interact and message them once they're matched.